I got over 1 month's worth of work done in just one singular work day, or better yet, in just 9 hours on the dot. And a lot of people think that things take time and that you can't do more with less time. But that couldn't be further from the truth, because there's a new scientific method that allows us to get more work done in a singular day than we would normally get done in a month. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can work less hours, get more done, and actually be more productive with your time. So let's dive into this. There's a few parts to this. I'm going to share with you why this works, and then I'm going to share with you how you can actually get into this state where you can get 1 month's worth of work done in just one singular work day. Now, first, I want to share with you a beautiful quote by Layla Hermosi that says, "It's not the time it takes, it's the things that happen in the time." The reason why people say that things take time in the first place is not because things actually take time. It's because of the things that happen in the time that make it take time. And so if we can condense the things that happen in that time down to just one singular day, we can get more done in one singular day of focus than we could in a month's worth of work. Okay, and statistically proven that most people, when they work for 4 hours, they actually only work for about 15 minutes, because every 5 minutes their phone's going off, and then there's a new tab here and there's new notification there, and they end up only working 15 total minutes of deep focused flow work in just a 4-hour period block, which means we're missing out on more than 90% of our time spent working because we simply don't know how to get into a flow state. So let's talk about how you can do this so you can work better for the rest of your life, work less hours, and have more fun while working. By step number 1, removing flow blockers. Okay, there's a 3-step process you want to use to actually enable yourself to get 1 month's worth of work done in just 9 hours. And the first thing is you want to remove all flow blockers. Okay, so what a flow blocker can be is anything that can distract you, anything that can pull your attention away, anything that can set your mind off of the vision you are doing. So for myself, what I do to remove all flow blockers is I close my curtains, okay? I put my phone in another room. I close all of my tabs except for the one tab that I'm actively working on. I declutter my entire workspace. I get my coffee. I put my glasses on. I go take a fucking piss. I don't have to do it while I'm working. And I sit down. I put my noise-canceling headphones on, and I get to work. So that is me removing all of my flow blockers. Step number 2, and this actually happens prior to working, prior to starting your flow session, is setting a clear goal. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to make 100K a month. Setting clear actionables. Okay, and so what this would look like is having a clear set of stuff that you are actually going to work on, right? If you don't know what you need to do, what you are going to do, you won't know what to work on. And oftentimes the reason why people can't be focused is because there's too many things to work on. They don't know which they should work on. Instead of actually working on the goal they should be working towards, they spend all their time figuring out which activity they should actually work on and then figuring out how they should work on it, instead of just working on one singular goal. So the way we're going to find our goal is by using something called a domino statement. Okay, so you're going to ask yourself a domino statement. Okay, and what this looks like is you will ask yourself, if I only had the whole day to get one thing done, and that one thing had to knock over everything else so that my business flowed, what would that one thing be? What would that one domino be, where if you fix that one domino, if you did that one task, everything else would fall into place as a result of that one domino getting knocked down? Ask yourself, what is the domino in my business? What is my domino statement? Once you've identified your domino statement, you now know the goal you need to work on. For example, if you know that, hey, I need to build a XYZ system to allocate capital, right? Maybe this is your situation, to allocate capital, right? And that will do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. That'll solve the entire business. Then you know your domino statement is, if I do this, right? So if I do X, Y gets done, right? And everything else goes good from there. And so you ask yourself, what is your domino statement? Once you've identified your domino statement, you move on to step number 3, which is increasing flow proness, right? And so what flow even is in the first place is flow, or flow state, is a state at which work feels easy. It is simply a state where you don't even feel like you're working. You feel like time is, passing by without you actively even realizing it. The best example of this, imagine last time you were playing a video game. You probably didn't even realize that, how fast time was going by or how much effort you're putting into the video game because work felt like fun. Work felt like something good. In that case, the games felt like something enjoyable. And therefore, work doesn't feel like work. And so flow is when you're able to do something without focusing on the external factors and the time and anything else. You're only focused on that one single thing. And so imagine if next time you went to work, you were in the same state that which you were when you went to game. Imagine how great you'd feel. That is what flow state allows us to do. And if we want to increase the odds that we get into flow state, we have to increase flow proness, which is just your likelihood that you're able to get into flow state. Now, one of the best ways to increase your flow proness is by working within 30 seconds of waking up. Because statistically, when we wake up, our delta waves, our theta and delta waves, are at its highest, and that is one of the biggest triggers to increasing flow proness. And so if we work while our head isn't fully conscious yet, while the first 10, 15, 20 minutes may feel a little groggy, as your body starts to wake up and be already working, you enter a beautiful flow state because you are already in the most optimal environment to enter flow state when your brain waves, when your waves are already at delta or theta. Okay, and so that is one of the best ways to increase flow proness is by actually working within 30 seconds of waking up, which is why the first two things you have to do before you actually increase flow proness and then get into work is remove flow blockers, so no phone, no random stuff on your desk, and then make sure you have a clear list of the thing you need to work on. So when you sit down to work, you can exert all your energy. Imagine if we are energy, right? Because that's all we are, it's just a big ball of energy. If you have, 7 different tasks, all your energy is going to go like this. You're going to put a little bit of energy out in every direction. At the end of the day, you've made a little bit of progress in every bit of direction. But we don't want this because this does not complete our task. It doesn't. What we really want is we want to have our energy and we want to spend it on one task, which is why when we wake up, we don't want to have to make a decision. Okay, what am I going to wear? What am I going to eat? What am I going to work on? And ask yourself all these questions that exert your energy. You want to be able to sit down and almost as if you're a robot, go straight to work so you can focus all of your energy, all of your focus on the one task, right? Because if you try to become the best football player, you wouldn't sit your time playing golf, hockey, basketball, swimming, and then football. You would focus on just one thing, which would be football. Right? So the same way in business, if we want to get good at one thing, we can't do 7 other things. We have to just do one thing, which is why before we get into work, we have to write down our goal. What is the thing we're actually going to work on? And write it down, one thing, the one thing you are going to do, the one domino statement. Okay? Increase your flow proness. And the number 4 is get to work. And it's as simple as this, right? Less is more. And the less things we can have on our plate, the less things we can have on our desk, in our environment, in our head, right? As a matter of fact, one of the other ways to increase flow proness is by having an empty head, having a clear head, which when we wake up, we've just reset in our headspace is at an ultimate low because we've just had the entire night to reset. So the same way that, a computer, when we have a bunch of files stored up, the RAM starts to go up and the computer starts to function worse. The same happens in your brain. If you have a bunch of thoughts and experiences and things in your mind, your brain starts to function less clearly. And so if we want to be able to function better, if we work within 30 seconds of waking up, our brain functions more optimally because now there's less on the mind. That's one of the other biggest benefits of waking up and working within 30 seconds. And this also increases our flow proness because now we increase the amount of cognitive load in our head. Okay? So that is once again one of the third tips here. So what we've covered, and there's still one more thing to go over, right, is to get 1 month's work done in 9 hours, the first thing you have to do is remove all flow blockers. Remove everything that would keep you from being distracted, right? Keep you from being focused, right? Remove every and anything. The second thing is write down a clear goal and write down your domino statement. If X gets done, Y happens. The one biggest lever to pull in your business. That's the only thing you're going to work on, right? The third thing is increase our flow proness, right? Increase flow proness, which is simply our ability or likelihood to get into flow, which we can do with a variety of things that I've listed earlier. And the last thing is get to work. It is to take action on the one task that will move the needle forward so much that we can get 1 month's worth of work done in just 9 hours by focusing on the things that matter. By focusing on the things that matter, we do that by asking our domino statement. There's a beautiful quote I love here from Tony Robbins, which is that most people's plans don't get implemented because they are too complex, and complexity is the enemy of execution. Most people make it difficult for themselves to complete anything on even a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis, a month-to-month basis, and a year-to-year basis because they make their plans too complex. They add too many variables and too many constraints and too many things that can get in the way of somebody taking action. And complexity is the enemy of execution. As you'll notice here, there's very, very, very minimal complexity with this exact guideline on how to get 1 month worth of work done in just 9 hours. It is simply to remove all the distractions, remove the clutter, and put yourself in an optimal working environment to focus on the one thing that matters. And that's it. And if you can grasp this concept and be able to apply these things to your life, you can get more done in 1 day or even just in 2 hours than most people get done in an entire month. The best part about this is you get to work less. Right? Because what would have taken you a month to complete will now take you a single day. Because a lot of people will spend 4 hours working. Imagine this is 4 hours. Okay? But only 15 minutes of that, right? Only 15 minutes of that was spent actually working. The other 3 hours and 45 minutes was spent distracted. Checking social media, checking their phone, checking their email, checking this tab, responding to this message, watching this quick YouTube video, hopping on this meeting and doing this and doing that. At the end of the 4 hours, they only got 15 minutes of work done. At the end of an 8-hour shift, they've only worked for half an hour. 30 minutes. Because they weren't able to focus on the things that mattered. So, that is how you can get 1 month's worth of work done in just 9 hours by decreasing the complexity, by increasing your flow proneness, and by setting clear and actionable steps on what you're going to work on. So you now know how to get more work done in a single day than most people get done in a month. If you enjoyed the video, go watch the video on screen. I'm sure you'll love it as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.